Before we dive into politics, I do want to ask you how you feel about this 8th year now coming to an end and you having a new chapter in your life.
Yeah, bittersweet for sure. We're racing like heck. We'll sprint through the tape on January 20th. We have a lot of balls in the air. There's a lame duck agenda, but there are a lot of other things outside of legislation that we're working on. And at the same time, you sort of realize, at noon on January 20, it's over. And so there's some bittersweet, some poignancy to this time as well. I'm proud of what we've done. And again, we'll stay at it right till the last moment.
The governors in New York don't have the limits that you do here in New Jersey.
That's correct. Nor do they have them in Connecticut.
Yes.
I actually am a believer in term limits. I think it's the right thing. Virginia only gives you one term. I don't think that's right. But I think 2 4-year terms gives you a long enough runway to assuming you win re-election, to get some meaningful stuff done. And I think we've done that. That feels to me about the right time.
Okay, so let's start looking back a little bit, or looking back to however back you want to go, because you have 8 years to talk about. What are the things that you're most proud of so far?
I think the thing, Bill, that stands out is we are who we said we would be. In politics, that's not the case. In other words, somebody campaigns on one basis and they end up governing in a very different way. We didn't do that. Whether people like what we did or not is less the question. We were who we said we would be. I'm incredibly proud of that. And we stuck to our, we said stronger, fairer, ultimately more responsible agenda.
No matter what the political bent, people, I think, most people would agree on how you handled the pandemic and what you did every day. We put it on our air. You have news conferences every day. You didn't have all the facts. You didn't know everything. You didn't pretend to. And I think that's what the kind of leadership, I think that is a big deal for your 8 years.
I appreciate that, Bill. That means a lot. And it's funny. It seems like at one level it was yesterday, and at another level like 1,000 years ago. And I was back. I of all things got diagnosed with kidney cancer right in the first days.
Yep.
If we were, we were never going to get out of this sort of cycle, but here we are, and I appreciate what you said.
How do you feel, medically speaking, now, based on what happened to you before?
I feel great. Knock on wood. I get an annual checkup, and so far so good. I'm going to attempt to run a 5K. My last 5K as governor tomorrow, so keep me in your prayers. But generally, I'm in good shape, and I appreciate your asking.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think the world, no matter what the politics are, everyone is very happy that you're healthy, and that's definitely the most important thing. Let's talk about politics that happened in your state just last month, and what you thought about that. And you have a new governor who's going to take your place. Yeah,
a big win. Even bigger than I had guessed it would be. Toward the end, I felt like it was widening. It got even wider. And Mikey Sherrill and her lieutenant governor, another star, Dale Caldwell, won handily by 2 touchdowns. They will be terrific. I think most importantly, they won because of who they are and the vision they have for the state. There's probably a little more than a little bit that folks like generally what we've been doing, and they see the next administration broadly going in a similar direction. I also think, Bill, just as it was with my first election in 2017, you had a lot of folks showing up who were saying, you know what, this is not the America that I know. This is not what I signed up for. A lot of that directed at Washington and the administration there, and people made their voices heard loud and clear. But I'm really excited, could not be happier for Mikey and Dale.
You consult her? Did she consult with you about the tactics and all this?
Yeah, we talk all the time. She and her husband, my wife and I, had dinner 10 days or so ago. We talk regularly with her team. And that was during the campaign, and clearly now in transition, there's an enormous amount of interaction. They've got 30 odd days to go until they're in the seat, and we're doing everything we can to help that whole transition work as well as possible.
it was a breakthrough election. She's only the second woman who will be a governor of New Jersey, right? Chrissy Todd Whitman was the first. She did something that a lot of people said anyway, at least the pundits did, said that you may not have done and didn't do before. And I want to get your opinion about all this. She really took off after President Trump.
Yeah, she did. Now, when we ran the first time, so did we, in fairness. But when you get in and you're governing and you got to worry about the stewardship for 9.5 million people and the money that underpins all of the essential programs, there's a balance you have to strike. You have to, on the one hand, never abandon your values, never abandon individuals or communities that are under attack, and we haven't. But at the same time, you've got to be careful about, starting World War III with these guys, which is something, we'd like to avoid in a big way. That doesn't mean we don't act. I mean, I approve several legal actions daily against the administration. But listen, Mikey found, she didn't necessarily find her voice. She's been elected several times. She's an outstanding, not only campaigner, but she's in this for the right reasons. She likes to govern. She governs well. She speaks from her heart. I'm a huge fan.
Well, you did. Let's talk about that a little bit more and dive deep into this a little bit. You had dinner with her, you said 10 days ago. The day after she won the election, she came to your office and you guys talked. Did you talk at all about the fear that a lot of people have about Mr. Trump coming into a city or a state and doing what he has done so far several times?
Yeah, I'm sure that's come up in our conversations. We mostly spoke sort of in two areas. Number one, transition stuff, what's worked for us, what we could recommend, talking about individual talents, et cetera. And then the other one is Mikey and her husband, Jason, have 4 kids, and they're about the same age going in as our kids. We have 4 kids when we went in. So we've had a good amount of family stuff, comparing notes, suggesting what worked, what didn't work for us. So yeah, is President Trump in the picture without question? That's a given. But in the sort of more specific sense, talking about transition, number one, and number two, a lot of family stuff as well.
Let's talk. We don't have much time left because it just goes by fast when we just have a conversation. But I appreciate you taking all this time. I do want to talk about some things that you haven't done yet. You maybe want to do. You have a month more. Are you going to crack down on some things that you haven't done yet in this last month?
Yeah, we're going to try, Bill. Some of this requires laws, so we're working with the legislature. Had a great dinner with the Senate President and Speaker the other night. Banning a bell-to-bell ban of cell phones is something we'd really like to get done. Get some housing bills across the goal line. We've got a big supply demand. We're a hot state right now. We just don't have enough units, particularly affordable housing. There are some public safety bills. There are non-legislative things. We've done a lot on retiring medical debt at pennies on the dollar. We'd like to do more of that. We've had a very significant, I think, frankly, historic clemency initiative. Would like to do more of that as we call ourselves America's #1 second chance state. So yeah, there's a lot of balls still in the air. The agenda is unfinished, and we're going to race through the finish line.
Okay, real quickly now, are you going to run for president in 2028?
I haven't taken anything off the table, but I wouldn't, if you're a betting man, Bill, I wouldn't put a lot of money on that. We're going to take some time off, go off the grid for a few months, recharge, reload, and then we'll see where we go from there. I've loved public service. So is my wife. I'll be shocked if that's not part of our future. Okay.
Speaking of your wife, what is she going to do? Does she have any plans, or she's going to just hang out with her husband?
Yeah, I hope she hangs out with me. She's also the chair of the host committee for New York, New Jersey for the World Cup. So that's coming to town in June. It'll be historic. We have the World Cup final, 8 matches, just an incredible moment. And she chairs that with a great board and staff. And that'll be a big focus of hers, as it will be mine as her partner.
Said that you like that kind of sport, and you're like it in a big way.
We love it in a big way. We own a chunk of the women's pro team that plays in New Jersey, New York. We just won the title. As I say, we got 8 matches. We think, Bill, right now, between 1 million and 2 million people will visit the New York, New Jersey region during the Cup, which goes from June 11th to July 19th. The final in East Rutherford, New Jersey, will be watched, ready for this, by 3.5 to 4 billion people. How about that?
There you go.
Focused on Jersey.
No question. That's it. Well, there you go. And this is why one of the reasons you're getting all excited about it. I want to end this a little bit by talking more and going back to COVID and the pandemic. And I know what it did for me. I know how I was affected by it. I know how my family was affected. I know how Americans were affected. You had a different strain to all this. You were in the middle of it. You had all this responsibility. The kinds of things you learned from this. I mean, you have a huge career in banking and everything else. You're now in politics. But this particular time during your tenure is going to be like no one else has ever had, or very few people have ever had. What did you learn from all this? What did you learn that surprised you? And where will you be if something else happens like this? Because you have some information and a knowledge of this that other people don't have.
Yeah, I mean, on that last part, always available to help, period. One thing I learned is what I already mentioned. We initiated a complete postmortem of what we did right, what we did wrong. And again, I'm stunned, but I think we're the only government I'm aware of anywhere that's done that. Secondly, it was a crazy balance, Bill, between data-driven, fact-driven, science-driven, on the one hand, which sounds very abstract, but that's how we made our decisions. But you'll recall at the same time, we made the decision almost immediately to basically eulogize typically 3 people whose lives were lost in our press conferences. So folks never thought this was abstract. These were real lives, precious lives and families that were impacted. And I spoke to every one of those families before we eulogized them. And those are some of the most wrenching, emotional experiences of my life. And it just reminded you that, for all the statistics that we need to look at and make decisions on, at the end of the day, this is humanity. These are precious lives and their families, and I'll never forget that.
It will be almost 6 years since you went on television every single day. Some of the normal things that you see on television were not on there. We did see the governor of New Jersey do that every day. The pressure must have been enormous.
Yeah, it was enormous. But people say to me, "Hey, those conversations you had with the families, those must have been hard." And I said they were hard, but they were a fraction hard of what it was for the families who had just lost somebody, or in some cases, multiple family members were lost. And yes, it was a lot of pressure, a lot of responsibility. But I'm alive. I'm here. My family, thank God, came through it. That's not the case for literally tens of thousands of other New Jersey families who are still, with a lost loved one at that table every night.
You have the last opportunity of this session between us. By the way, come on up close anytime you want. But right now, this will be the last time maybe that you'll talk to us and to me before you go. What message do you have for people in New Jersey? We have a time in this country that is kind of crazy. Yeah,
it is kind of crazy. If the whole world were within the 4 walls of New Jersey, I would be the world's biggest bull and cheerleader. But the fact of the matter is there's a lot of volatility in our nation and in our world. And frankly, a lot of it is self-inflicted. It didn't need to be this way. But for New Jersey, this is the most special state in the union. It's a state with character, grit, attitude, steel backbone, unlike any place on earth. It has been an incredible honor to be its governor for 8 years. It's a 9.5 million member strong family with great diversity. As Christy Todd Whitman used to say, many faces, one family, and that's Jersey. Or as I like to say lately, it's Jersey, baby.
Governor Phil Murphy, good luck to you, sir. Thank you for your service, and we'll keep in touch, I hope.
You bet, Bill. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Governor. Good luck to you.